Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. And here's a title from A&B Crypto, Ripple's DeWitt. Central banks can launch CBDCs within a day. And so Ripple's DeWitt, that would be Craig DeWitt. And I actually, so where this stems from, I actually cited this. It comes from a video with from the Thinking Crypto YouTube channel, which a dude named Tony runs, who is definitely a pro XRP guy, but his channel is not explicitly about XRP. But I watch him. And he had Ripple employee Craig DeWitt on there. And I talked a bit about some of the content, but not this portion of it. I was talking more so about X songs, which Craig DeWitt came up with, and a bit about some of the hurdles that you have to get over in terms of adoption for that particular platform. But it actually does utilize XRP, so it's cool stuff here. But now I've got this story, which just came out, talking about central banks and launching CBDCs. So I'm going to cover that. I've also got this piece unrelated that is just interesting that I wanted to share with you. It's a higher percentage than I would have guessed if you just asked me, how many institutional investors hold XRP in terms of, or not XRP, cryptocurrency in terms of percent. And I don't know what I would have guessed, but probably not this. So here's the title from the Daily Huddle. Bombshell report shows 36% of institutional investors already own crypto assets such as Bitcoin and Ethereum. With, of course, institutional investors, there are a number of different types. It can be endowment funds, commercial banks, hedge funds, insurance companies. But, 36%, that's something. So I'll be giving you the specifics. Before we go any further, though, if you would, please delicately tap that like button. I would appreciate it. It would help with that YouTube algorithm, the mysterious algorithm. And also, I recommend that you go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel because it is the best YouTube channel in all of the land. All of the land. So, did you do it yet? I'm waiting. Subscribe. Come on. Subscribe. All right, I'll jump in now. Cryptocurrencies have always treaded the gray area of regulations, with any development on the matter satisfying none and riling up almost everyone. Isn't that the truth? According to Craig DeWitt, Senior Director of Products at Ripple, the crypto industry requires patience with respect to the regulatory aspect of digital assets. DeWitt, in a recent segment, was asked whether the steady pace at which things are moving from a regulatory point of view would eventually end up affecting the larger crypto industry. The director of products responded that it is of secondary importance, the notion of whether government bodies in other countries get there first, as long as the United States is able to get it right. In a sense, DeWitt seemed to assure many and counter some who had argued that countries like China are surging ahead of the United States with respect to crypto regulations. I'm still of the mindset, I wouldn't go quite that far. I don't know if that's quite his position. I did watch the entire video. And I would still also, in addition to that, state that it's pretty clear that the United States is not leading the way in terms of regulatory clarity in the crypto asset class, which is problematic, if you're in the United States at least, because the economic missed opportunity will be substantial. Some people believe even more substantial than what happened with the revolution of the internet, because we are talking about the internet of value here, indeed, with cryptocurrencies, including XRP. Thankfully, Ripple has been working with banks and regulators, so I'd say they're the least likely to kind of get the shaft. Then you had, Facebook with their Libra white paper. Anyway, it's not even a cryptocurrency; it's a white paper. Putting that out and showing exactly how to not do things by not engaging with regulators first. It completely caught them off guard and freaked them out, and resulted in terrible press and effectively kind of ruined things. All sorts of partners ended up ditching the platform, and we'll see if it ever actually does launch. Maybe it will. I don't know. But it wasn't good. It was rather messy. So that's an example of how not to do things. Now, expressing his faith and confidence in the country's regulators, DeWitt argued that the country would eventually get a grip on the innovation of digital assets and successfully establish adequate standards. Now, that I do agree with. It's more so a question of, is it going to be like what happened with the internet revolution, where the United United States led the way, or will we just ultimately catch up, and a lot of the economic output as a result of this is going to have its founding in other corners of the world? That's the question to this point here. Now, when queried about if things were moving a little too slow, DeWitt cited the example of the growth seen over the past 5 years. He claimed that the digital asset industry is already ahead of its time in terms of development and market engagement, something that was completely unimaginable in 2015. Hence, he believes that in order to make fundamental improvements, proper planning and patience is required so that the changes are impactful with several types of applications. Now, that's certainly a very fair point as well, and I can imagine I wasn't around in the world of crypto in 2015. I joined November of 2017. But I understand to a degree what the landscape was like back then. And in terms of it, obviously, it's easy to think about the price action from the huge run up throughout all of 2017 for Bitcoin, and then XRP ultimately having its huge run up in December 2017 and January 2018 before everything obviously tanked. But that's not all that we're talking about here. That put a spotlight on the asset class, but I'm telling you, in terms of the money grabs that were occurring all throughout 2017, all sorts of projects were created into the space. Unfortunately, some were scammy, but there was some real stuff there too. And as a result, there's substantially more people working in the world of blockchain and with crypto assets today than there were 5 years ago. So in that degree, I can see it's why it would be kind of seeming as something like just a concept that's unimaginable. But that's the fascinating thing about it. A huge part of that had to do with the ICO craze and the huge price run up, but it just made it just put a spotlight on everything. And given that the crypto asset class absolutely has staying power, it will not ever go away as long as the internet exists. It makes sense to me that that's the perspective that Craig DeWitt is sharing here. Now, as far as CBDCs, well, check this out. Speaking about CBDCs, DeWitt suggested that if the central banks wanted, they could launch CBDCs within a day without the help of blockchain. However, they haven't taken that step in order to protect the market of commercial banks. And he said, quote, "The reason that they'll hesitate to do that, though, is because that is going to substantially cut into the market, the share of the commercial banks and, these value-added innovative services that the commercial banks can offer that a central bank can't." Then the piece continues, "Hence it is difficult for CBDCs to be leveraged on retail-to-retail basis at the moment," he said. DeWitt's remarks made sense since the implementation of a centralized ledger such as PayPal is actually not a difficult task, but it takes away half of the utility of commercial banks, and the disbalance created in the banking sector may jeopardize the overall financial system. Although the long-term goal for digital assets is to replace such a system, it isn't the plans for central banks trying to implement a new form of MOE. So as far as it being the plan for digital assets, well, digital assets are not sentient, so they do not have plans. As far as developers building on top of particular blockchains, yes, some people are going towards that goal, but it goes back to something I've been saying for some time. What problem are you solving, damn it? If paper money, I don't like paper money or metallic currency, but if fiat currency, let's just say fiat currency is doing the job right now, until there is sufficient friction, you're not going to have any sort of meaningful adoption on that front. And we've had over a decade of that point being illustrated. So you keep pushing for it, but you're going to have to wait for opportunity to align with that. And then technologically, we're not even there either. Not with Bitcoin, certainly, anyway. All right, now to this piece with Daily Hodl. Bombshell report shows 36% of institutional investors already own crypto assets such as Bitcoin and Ethereum. A new survey from the global asset management giant Fidelity shows 36% of institutional investors already own crypto assets. 4 out of 5 investors who are not yet in the market say they're interested in holding cryptocurrency in the future and find at least one aspect of the emerging technology appealing. And here's a quote. Almost 80% of institutional investors find something appealing about digital assets, with the 3 almost equally compelling characteristics across United States and European investors being uncorrelated to other asset classes, 36%, an innovative technology play, 34%, and high potential upside. And then the piece continues, Fidelity, which offers exposure to Bitcoin through its subsidiary Fidelity Digital Assets, says the results of the survey line up with the demand it's seen from clients. And here's another quote. These results confirm a trend we are seeing in the market towards greater interest in and acceptance of digital assets as a new investable asset class. This is evident in the evolving composition of our client pipeline, which spans from crypto-native funds to pensions. Well, here, my friend. So despite what Goldman Sachs would have you believe, and they would have you believe that cryptocurrencies are not part of an asset class. They literally came out and said that within the last couple of weeks or so, and I enjoyed covering that one and shredding it. Despite that, crypto asset class is here to stay. That's my humble opinion. And adoption is actually increasing here. Despite whatever negative point of view you want to throw out, you are not going to be able to stop this. The genie is out of the bottle. There is real utility to be had, even if a lot of the ideas today either are not viable in 2020 or they're just stupid. That's okay. That type of stuff happened with the internet too. Imagine streaming Netflix in 1995 had it existed. Yeah, good luck, buddy, okay, with your 56K dial-up modem. I don't think that's going to happen, my friends. And plus, dial-up, my God. Do you guys remember what it was like? I'm sure at least my age or older. Do you remember what it was like getting on the internet? You had to listen to what was essentially the sound of a goat dying every single time you dialed on to America Online or Prodigy, which unfortunately I had. It's just that terrible modem sound. Oh my God. And if you are too young to know that, please Google. I'm sure if you just Google terrible modem dial-up sound, you will see what the hell I'm talking about. It was seriously... sound like a dying animal every freaking time. Why couldn't they have just muted that? Was that an option? Wait, was that an option? I hate that. I'm going to wrap up here. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.